Good afternoon, Cowboys, Cowgirls, and Outlaws. Welcome to the Slick Six Guns Network, and we are here today. We are going to go live, and we are going to talk about the Western shooting sports with Shootin' Bella. As you can see, she is ready to answer your questions and mine. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is gonna be pretty exciting. I also got my coffee out here today, so let me know what you're drinking in the comment section. So, Shootin' Bella, tell me a little bit about yourself. What's your background?
Well, if you're going to talk about my shooting background, I should have asked Dad. I don't know when I started shooting because my dad taught me how to shoot when I was like 7, 8, 9.
Yeah?
Yeah, with a .22. We had a rifle and a pistol. I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, so we would shoot out in the middle of the desert, usually at like something like not a trash heap, but a dump site.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't too far from home at the time back in the 90s, but it had a tendency to have, occasionally you hear someone scream, cow walk on by, you don't have to stop and wait for it to just mosey its way out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, I only started competing when I was pregnant. I think I talked about this earlier with SASS. And then in 2019, we started up our Fast Draw, and that's when I started competing with Fast Draw. We started 2015 or 16.
Yeah, about there.
Just a little behind you.
A little bit.
Yep. And just recently bought my own Fast Draw gun.
Yeah, and why don't you tell the folks here on camera what's your Fast Draw gun? What are you using?
I'm using a new Vaquero 45 Colt, and brand new. We bought it brand new, and Slick, he fixed up my springs so that it's really smooth and it's also easy. Like, I don't know how many pounds of pressure, like 2 to 5.
I don't remember exactly.
Really easy. So.
Well, I think what I was really more going for was, other than your shooting background, I'm talking more about like your background, as in like your working background, your professional life. What do you do? What do you do for fun? What do you do for fun and in real life? What do you do not for fun and for fun? Let's
so you want work or fun?
Let's go work. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about work now.
I was an ER nurse. I was an ER tech in the early 2000s, and mid to late 2000s became an ER nurse in Tucson, Arizona, and all the way up until I moved to Texas.
Okay.
And then I've been working in primary care and now urgent care. So I don't know. I did get my doctorates. That was back in 2016. My DNP. What else? I don't know. Oh, I did go to ASU, and I know that you went to U of A, so that's a huge.
Well, why don't you clarify for everybody what ASU means?
Arizona State University.
Okay.
That's me. Go Sun Devils. And then the University of Arizona.
Yeah.
U of A. Graduate here. So how do they put it? House divided.
It's a house divided. It's a house divided, folks. Needless to say, she probably makes more money than I do. So, being that, DNP, does that stand for what? Do not piss off or something?
Do not piss off.
Yeah, I think that's what it stands
Although
for.
I will use that from now
on. Yeah, because you don't want to piss off your nurse or your doctor, because it can really mess you up. Anyway, today is a Valentine's Day special, so before we get into some other questions, I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to go ahead and, wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day out there, but I'm also going to give our guest something for Valentine's Day, and I bought it all of yesterday.
It's better than me. I didn't get you anything.
Yeah, I know. She didn't give me anything, but here you go. Here's your.
Is something going to fly out at me?
No, it's just a Valentine's Day card. Nothing super surprising there. You can either open it on camera or not. You don't have to read it if you don't want to.
Well, I don't think they want to see me read it.
They probably don't want you to. I mean, they just want to see you get stuff, I guess.
All right. And it's a huge brick of chocolates.
Yep. Happy Valentine's Day.
And happy Valentine's Day to all of you out there.
Yep.
You can't say that you didn't get love from us.
Yeah. And I'll say that I'll probably be munching on these later more than she will. But we don't know.
Not unless I hide them.
I'll always find them. That's going to happen.
I need to put out traps.
Oh, that'd be curious. I wonder what traps would be installed.
Ooh, maybe I can use some Old West ones like the itching powder.
That's an Old West one?
Yeah, it was tarantula hairs.
You're going to have to tell everyone all about this because this is new to me.
Well, I don't necessarily know if it's Old West, but definitely in the 1800s they used it for as a itching powder. It was tarantula hairs, so that's all I know.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Anyway.
it's an old school one.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Why did you choose the name Shootin' Bella? Why that?
Oh, Shootin' Bella. I did my research because you wanted me to start up with SASS, and they required when we signed up that we had to have an alias. I did some research, and I really actually found, gosh, she's got a lot of names, but basically to shorten it, Bella Starr. And Bella Starr, she had quite a history in the outlaw, basically for a majority of her life and around the Civil War, I think it was. No, shoot. Getting all my times mixed up.
Was it after the 1860s?
She died yes, because she died in 1889. She was born in 1840 something.
Okay.
So.
All right, so she would have been in
Civil
her.
War time, huh? Because
Okay.
I think her brother served in in a guerrilla.
Oh, he's on
The bushwhackers.
He's the bushwhacker.
Yeah, he was a bushwhacker.
Okay.
So, but he died kind of early. But she married a few times and ended up with the name of Bella Starr. So, and she helped the James Younger gang.
Uh-huh.
But she had they have a few books on her, and so I read up a little bit on her story, liked her, but you can't in SAS use names, so like historical names. So I had to switch it up, and I really enjoyed Bella. So so Shootin' Bella seemed to be the best.
Your dad's watching.
Hi, Dad.
He says the chimes are loud.
Oh, okay. I can get rid of the chimes.
Okay, well, why don't you go ahead and get rid of the chimes? We'll take care of it then.
Yeah, it's a little windy.
All right. Well, she'll be right back, folks. Just hang on a second here.
I'm not tall enough.
She has to get a little extra height there in order to get it going. Okay. Okay, there we go. Chimes should be down, and we should be ready to continue with the show.
Sorry.
All right. So anyway, we were talking about Belle Starr, and you were saying her brother was part of the bushwhackers?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And she also married a gentleman named, last name was Reed. Can't remember what his first name was.
First husband, second husband? Do you know?
He had 3 wives. I think that was her first husband.
Okay. All right.
I didn't memorize that.
Did she have a nickname as well? I thought there was the Bandit Queen, something like that. I think that was one of them.
Outlaw Queen, something like that. I didn't memorize it.
Okay. I don't remember exactly. But
yeah, SAS wouldn't allow me to do, like historical names because I really like Bella Starr, and I think I was going to add like an STARR rather than Hathi County originally. And that was her last husband, who was, I think he was Indian. Anyways, so she had a really interesting life, very full of action, and so I thought she'd be a good one to get a name from.
Yeah.
And I just shortened it to Bella, and Shootin' Bella seemed to fit all our stuff.
Oh, sorry about that. I'll make that a little quieter. Anyway, hey, you know what I would really like for Valentine's Day? Pie in the face.
A pie in the face?
Yeah, just wanted to let the folks know here that if you guys want to see her Valentine's Day gift to me, it's going to have to be a pie in the face. You guys can contribute that via super thanks, super chat. You can do for a minimum of $20. You can go ahead and get me to have a pie in the face on camera. So if you want to donate, by all means, go ahead and you can do that. She'll pie me right in the face right there. We got some awesome pie examples right here. Okay. So let me know if you want to do that. Anyway, moving right along to the next question, okay?
Why were you like that? Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So why are you interested in the period of the Old West? Obviously, you're doing something having to do with the shooting sports. So you have some interest in it, whether it be the gear, the guns, the personality, the fact that you get to step into your own character. What is it that you like about being in the Old West era?
Oh, let's see. I really like shooting guns, so get out some aggression that I can't do in my own field. I get to spend time with you, and that we don't get a whole lot of time because we got young kids. What else? And there's, just like in the 1950s, there's some kind of magic allure towards that time period that seems almost forgotten, but it's on its way back. I think there's a bunch of Old West movies and TV shows that are coming now out that's getting a lot younger generations into it.
Okay.
So I think there's just, some mystery to it too. You get to be like, I don't want to say bad, but outlaw, and you get to break all the rules without really breaking them.
Okay, so in other words, you get to be a bad girl.
Sure. That sounds so bad.
All right. Anyway, I had to come up with something corny there.
Yes.
Anyway, all right. Well, that's awesome. Glad you're interested in that, and love to see the fact that you're actually involved in the Western shooting sports. That's kind of one of our goals here at Slick Six Guns, is we try to get new people involved. And well, how better to get someone involved in the Western shooting sports than your significant other? So that's kind of how she came about. And other than the Old West, are there any other periods in history that you by chance happen to like, whether maybe medicine, it may be, it may be something having to do with recent history, even current events? I don't know. What is there? Is there anything you like, even if it's not history? Let the audience know what it is that you like to hear about.
Usually I like to escape, so I usually do fantasy, just because it's so different from our world now. So, but if I got to pick, I really like the 1920s. They're kind of fun. It's everybody was doing like jazz and happy. The economy was doing okay, even though we know that the 30s and 40s weren't so awesome. But the medicine in the last 100 years has been awesome. Like just all the stuff that's been coming out, the science improvements and stuff that's been found research-wise. It's been pretty phenomenal. And who's your favorite Western movie star? The Duke.
John Wayne?
Oh, Dad used to watch that all the time. Of course, there is Clint
Eastwood?
Yes, that one.
Oh, okay.
Although I do kind of like him a little bit more for the directing than I do for the acting. Not that he was bad, just I think his directing skills were pretty on spot.
Okay. All right. So the 20s, medical history, somewhat, and you have a favorite Western movie star. We don't watch a whole lot of John Wayne.
No, but Don Knotts has been pretty good. Our son is in love with Don Knotts. And The Shakiest Gun of the West. He's been watching that, 3 times a day? If he could.
He also likes Rango, too.
Oh, yes, he does love Rango. Although that's just not, I don't know if Rango's necessarily classic, but. Oh, and the Apple and Dumpling Gang. 1 and 2. He's all about that. He's so cute. Our baby's turning 5 next week.
Yeah, he is. So that'll be interesting. So you mentioned that you do Western competitive shooting. You got involved back in when again? When did you start it?
I was with SASS when I was pregnant with Grant, 2018.
So you've been doing about
17?
4 years-ish,
Sure.
off and on.
Sure. Yeah, when my health and pregnancy doesn't get in the way.
Yeah. Well, that would be something that would get in the way. But yeah, you've been doing that since 2018, 4 years on, 4 years off. You did Fast Draw starting when?
2019.
2019.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We do that here on the ranch.
Now,
which is pretty fun. There's no recoil. It's so much fun.
So if you had a choice, and I know we may make some people angry or mystified, but what would you rather do? Cowboy Fast Draw or Cowboy Action?
Honestly, it'd be the Fast Draw. Nothing against SASS. Well, sometimes it hurts by the end of the day. Just shotgun shells sometimes aren't, nice to my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually pretty exhausting. As I said, it doesn't have any recoil. You're only competing against the person you're next to in Fast Draw. In SASS, you're competing against everyone, so you can instantly know if you're losing by just sitting on the range and hearing people ping, 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 ping really fast. And you're like, oh, I've lost.
Okay.
This Fast Draw, I got somewhat of a means of.
Well, given the fact that obviously with practice makes perfect, so we really don't get a whole lot of practice out here.
No.
But
even knowing it's here on the property, you have the kids. I do anyways. So
I think both of us do.
Well, yes, both of us have the kids, but you run the matches, so I don't get out very much, especially when the weather's not so formidable for a 2-year-old who refuses to wear jackets.
Well, they get used to it, I guess, eventually. I don't know. Some of you guys are parents out there. Maybe you can let us know when you got your kids involved in the Western shooting sports. We can't wait till that happens, At least me. Then maybe I can get out of the house for her and leave her alone for a day or
Our
whatever.
oldest is totally practicing right now. The two of you have been out in the backyard doing Fast Draw to each other.
Yeah, he automatically gets shot every time, so,
Yeah, even if you're not aiming towards him.
Yeah.
So cute.
Yeah. What about you mentioned that out here we actually host these Fast Draw matches. So one of the biggest things that we talk about here is we talk about how are the people we're interviewing contributing to the Western shooting sports. And obviously it seems like you've given up your place to contribute to Fast Draw. Sometimes.
Not completely, but unfortunately it does take a little bit extra time. Working full time, it's really kind of taken a bite out of shooting sports.
Okay.
But yeah, unfortunately I did have to give up quite a bit of it because of the kids and my job.
So why did you allow Fast Draw to come out to your place and kind of be a part of your life? Yeah.
Because you loved it, and I'd do anything for you.
That's
because I tried it when they you were really adamant. I never tried it before. Actually, it was here on the property, and for our first what are they, town alley? Is that what they called it?
Mm-hmm.
And never did it before. And then when it had no recoil, and it's you do 5 shots and then you kind of rotate depending on how many people there. You can rotate pretty quickly, and but it's not you're not on stage for a very long period of time, so it varies quite frequently, and I found it to be fun.
Oh, okay.
So but not until I actually tried it. But I hear that's a lot of people.
Okay. And in your opinion, how is that going as far as the club and all that? What's your immediate take on how the club is doing out here? Considering it's a new club.
The club is doing great. I mean, the people are amazing. Love my club members, along with just about everyone who's been involved with SASS and involved with Fast Draw that I've met have been phenomenal human beings. The people you want to share meals with and come welcome them into our home. I mean, I don't think there's anyone that I've been not wanting to do that and just share our space and time with. COVID put a little bit of a damper on like just about everything, like it did for everyone, unfortunately. And the club did a little suffering just because we couldn't get together. There were some individuals who were older, and we were like, if you had a sniffle, I was terrified to be around them just because I was terrified to get them ill with maybe possibility of COVID. So that kind of put a damper on things. We did state last year in March of 2021, and that actually helped out financially pretty well, so that we could kind of keep going, because it costs money for the club to participate with the nationals to be considered a club. We have to do our club annuals dues, and that, for a small club, that can be quite pricey. So we were able to have that and to sustain us. So that made a big difference. I really wish that we had we do ours out in the open pasture, unfortunately, and we don't have any shade. So, and it's super windy out here. So we've struggled with finding means of temporary protection. So I really wish we had a building big enough so that we could have it, so we didn't have the elements of weather and blazing sun, heat, rain, snow be contributing factors to our experience. So I really do wish for that, but unfortunately everything's expensive these days, so the ability to finance that is probably not going to happen in the near future.
Couple years, maybe. Yeah.
So we'll get there eventually.
So what is your most prized, favorite, or interesting firearm that you own? Particularly with the Western shooting sports.
Oh, of course. Those are the ones I own.
Well, I have to specify.
Let's see. I like my shotgun.
Your 97?
Yeah, I really do.
What do you like about it?
My pump.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe because it's an original.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I like it. I like how to load it. I like if I potentially actually could, but I never stoke it. But if I did, I could just keep on going. But I'm too scared to, because what year was that? I ended up shooting stage.
Oh yeah, you had a negligent discharge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So horribly embarrassing, and but they gave me, and I didn't do that much damage.
I think you scratched the paint.
No, I'm pretty sure I blew a hole in something. I'm pretty positive I blew a hole in something.
Well, as long as you didn't put a hole in anyone else and it was downrange, that's all.
No, it was definitely downrange. It was just, I don't know, the wood platform where you put the guns.
Yeah, we all got.
That was an accident.
We got to learn sometime.
Yes, so I never stoked that. I never stoked it again.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, regardless. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that. That's one of my favorite firearms too. It's not my absolute favorite, but
do you like my new Vaqueros? I have 37s, 38s.
38s. Yeah. So, pretty good. They're a little heavier than the ones I got. I'm not really a super fan.
Hey, the recoil is that if it's lighter, the recoil is worse. So, and then I have to recorrect. So, it works really well for me.
But you also shoot two-handed, so it's a little different.
Yes.
So yeah, there you go. What if you could, and I think we've talked about this before, and you kind of brought it up initially, is if you could contribute more to the Western shooting sports, more than what we're already doing, what would you like to see happen in the future?
Well, in regards to this, to your channel.
No, in regards to the Western shooting sports and you specifically, like what is it that you would like to do for the Western shooting sports in the future that you would like to see happen one day, someday? You kind of mentioned some of that.
Oh, meaning like I really want to build a building or a barn so that we could have a area that the Fast Draw Club can actually participate in without shivering or sweating. What else? Well, I would really love to see on your channel that you would interview other sports that we haven't even participated in. Like, know which one really interests me is the one where they're on horses and they shoot stuff.
Oh, the nano shooting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be really interesting because can you imagine how much time it took to actually like not only learn how to shoot from a sitting, moving object, okay, a horse, but how long you had to train that thing not to respond to your bullets because you're blazing right next to it. Those things like a bag goes through I have donkeys, and the bag a little plastic bag blows through the pasture, and they freak out. So and they're smarter animals, so I can't imagine how long you have to do that with a horse. It must have taken forever.
Mm. Well, that would be something that we could probably do in the future. You know, obviously we've been contacting and reaching out to other shootists and kind of trying to see what they're into and make sure that they have something viable to communicate to the community. And I think, you know, that's something that we can look at, you know, so I don't think it's impossible.
That's significant more skill than I got.
I think it's a lot more patience than we probably have too. Yeah.
That's
Patience,
true.
time.
I'm still working on my training my doggies to allow me to touch their feet.
Patience, time, a lot of other things. It's called living a 19th century life in the 21st century. It's kind of what we're doing. Really hard to do. Sure, some of you guys can relate.
Mm-hmm. Because, you know, 19th century doesn't really pay a whole lot. God, things are so expensive.
Yeah, well, hopefully it'll come back down at some point sometime soon, you know, or it's just going to stay where it's at and, you know, never change. Anyway, yeah. Well, are there any questions that you have of me, Shooting Bell? Before we get to the audience and see if there's any questions. By all means, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A. If you want to contribute a super chat, and we'll bring it up on screen for you. Thanks so much. Any questions you have of me?
Well, when you originally started with Fast Draw, you actually were driving 4 hours to get to the one that was in above Dallas. Gainesville. So what drew you to that? I mean, to drive 4 hours one way to get to something. I mean, that's the main reason why you started the club here is you loved it so much and it was just such a burden for you to get there. So, and there was nothing remotely close to us at the time.
I think it was just a matter of I was already part of Cowboy Action, and you know, they were using live bullets in Cowboy Action, and then all of a sudden they said something about wax bullets. It sounded something interesting, and I already had the guns for it. You know, I had a 45 caliber revolvers that could be used in the sport as well. So I just figured it really didn't take much of anything, and I already had the clothes and stuff. And the only thing I had to get was a holster and a rig that was specifically designed for Fast Draw. And, you know, for about a quarter of the price, I was able to get into Fast Draw relatively easily.
Yeah, that's quite cheap.
So that's probably why that's one of the reasons why I decided to do it. To answer your question of joining a club that was 4 hours away, well, it was something to do on the weekends. Mm-hmm. When SASS wasn't going on. Mm-hmm. So, you know, usually SASS for me was once a month. And
that was while I was in grad school when I was in Arizona.
Yeah. So, you know, SASS was once a month and at least for the club that was near me, if I wanted to drive any further than that, I could participate more than once a month, but I chose not to. And so this club, which was the closest at the time, was having their matches not on the same weekend as SASS. So that's why I decided to do it. And plus it allowed me to get out of the house.
I think I was there once when I was visiting you. You took me out. And they had this little boy. I don't know what gun he was firing. I think it was a 22. He was so tiny. He had like to be like
No, it was
6.
40. It was a 45 caliber. Yeah.
He was so cute.
Yeah. No,
he's pretty good.
I remember that. It was a while ago.
Good. Yeah, it was. It was a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, are there any other questions?
Your favorite Western?
My favorite Western, I'd have to say The Wild Bunch is one of my favorites.
Ooh, what about Blazing Saddles?
I think it's funny. I mean, I think anybody who watches Blazing Saddles probably thinks it's funny. Mel Brooks, I think, is a good director. He has a great sense of humor. And, you know, I grew up on Spaceballs and Blazing Saddles.
He did do a good job.
Yeah. We're combing the desert. Yeah, I can't say the next line after that.
I don't even. I can't quote.
You can't
any of
swear.
them,
I don't
but
want
I
to swear
remember
on
that one.
camera. It's you know, it's
Good
swear.
visual.
Anyway.
What else can I ask? Oh, what do you least like about living a 19th century life in the 21st century?
No time. There's no time for anything.
What do you like best about it?
What do I like best about it?
The goats in the background.
I've never had a time in my life where I could actually go out just on my back porch and shoot. I think that's, you know, can't do that in the city. That, you know, you have to have minimum a certain number of acres, and depending on what state you're in, you know, and it's relatively secluded, so, you know, kind of a sense of autonomy out here. I kind of like that, you know, and you just get to have things that you wouldn't have in a normal life. I mean, like, you know, the normal 9-to-5 grind is kind of, if you want it to be that way, you know, I mean, like, typically people our age usually go out and you're working 5 days a week, and then if you got a family on the weekends, you're pretty much traveling around to find something interesting or new or different or whatever, which isn't bad. I'm not knocking anything against that, but you're pretty much traveling to get out of the house.
They get to go to museums, and they get to go to science stuff, and, you know.
Yeah, but when was the last
That's
time you did that?
We don't live in the city, so.
Well, that's what I'm
It's like
saying.
an hour drive, and our little one will not tolerate an hour-long drive.
Well, that's what I'm
without
saying.
putting us through a very bad time.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that, you know, that's kind of like what you do, and it's just, if you have land or anything like that, that's kind of not something that you end up doing. There's just choice on whether you want to do those chores or not, you know. I mean, it's obviously there's certain things you just have to do, but then, you know.
Working with the animals is kind of fun.
Depends.
That
really
take
depends.
the front of it.
Yeah.
He does all the hard work, like labor. I do all the easy stuff, like if we had to do vaccinations, I'm the one that stabs. He's the one that wrestles before I stab it.
Yeah, try wrestling a goat. It's real fun sometimes.
He got really good at it, though.
Yeah.
Goat wrestler.
Goat roper. Call it a goat rope for a reason. They don't cooperate at all, even if you do train them. Yeah, they're interesting animals. They're funny animals.
Yeah, they're as smart as dogs. Did you know that?
Yeah.
You can train them.
They can.
Although I don't think you can train them to sit. That would be interesting, though.
Okay. Well, yeah, we got that. Anyway, let's go ahead and answer some questions from the comment section here. No Name Jim says, so is the shooting barn going to be built?
We can only hope. There's a lot of setbacks. We're hoping for like a year from now, but the price of steel is astronomical than it was 2 years ago. The price of hay is 3 times more than it was 2 years ago. COVID really did us in, so things have been set back a few times, but we're hoping. We really are. We're trying to pay off debt, and if we don't build more, like
If we don't go buy a car, we don't go buy other things, high value items. Maybe we can.
It's not my fault that the deer ran into my car.
I know it's not your fault. I'm just saying that, you know, went out and what did we do this year? We bought a tractor. We bought.
Which is awesome, by the way. It's just really expensive.
Yeah. No.
Totally expensive.
We needed it, right? You know, I mean, we went
Trailer.
out. We try not to buy things that we don't need, right? But we buy the things that we do need. That we buy are relatively large items. You know, just part of being on a ranch and farm or whatever you want to call it. You got to have a livestock trailer. You got to have a tractor. You know, and it took us years to get a tractor. We finally got one.
Yeah, we've been here since 2015.
Yeah, but we finally got one, and now we're actually able to do stuff that's heavy lifting without having to do redneck stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that we get a building that will be multi-use, but I think I've settled on doing an outside type open barn. Hopefully be a little cheaper, easier to put up, a little closer to the house than where we originally had it. So hoping so that we can keep the animals separate from the shooting barn or building so that it doesn't stink, because they stink. They just smell like all animals.
Livestock animals smell.
Yes, yeah.
They just
so, yeah, that's why having an open barn might behoove us, and a completely separate building.
Yeah, well, we're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer the question, it's going to be built in the near future, sooner than 5 years, to give people kind of a timeline on that.
We'll see.
So,
Yeah, we got laughed at when we originally told the guy, hey, we got like 10 grand saved up. We'd like to, see like what kind of metal building we can get. And that was several years ago, and he laughed at us saying that won't get us the foundation. Dang.
Well,
stuff's expensive.
Yeah, well, it's just got to save up, I guess. Anyway, yeah, that's well, I really appreciate everything that you've done for the Western shooting sports. I know that our audience probably does. I think you definitely give a unique perspective in the fact that obviously we're younger, right? I mean, that's kind of one of the things that we talk about in the Western shooting sports is a lot of these people have a tendency to be older, mid-age. We're a little bit on the younger side. That's not to say that those people aren't out there, but you got our younger perspective looking at the prospects of the Western shooting sports, and then contributing to it is another thing that's kind of something that we're looking to do, and something that she's looking to do, which is always kind of neat because, that just means that the sports will be perpetuated. I think that's awesome.
Yep.
Anyway. Yeah.
Biggest limitations is time and money, like it is for just about everyone of our age group.
Of course. Well, thank you for tuning in, and tune in next week. We're going to have another fun live stream with Santee from Arizona Ghostwriters. So he will be joining me, and I'll be talking to him about the Western shooting sports and his experiences in Western acting. So we'll see you on, in his words, down the trail. Thank you very much.